Alright, so the rabbit hole that I've been going down under was trying to get an old System 7 or System 8 Mac OS to work on modern day computer. And this happened to pop up on my radar. And it's called Macintosh-like Virtual Window Manager. And this is actually very old. So the last time it's been updated or worked on, I would say it's about 24 years old. So yeah, this desktop manager is definitely old, but it still works to today's standards. Now, there is a GitHub on this where somebody is maintaining this. So if you don't want to grab it from GitHub, you could always still grab it from the main website development, but I am using this one as a resource. And also he has another repository to the config files, which I'm using it as a reference more than I am using it for the actual data. Now, there is a website that helped me out a lot while I was working on figuring out how to get this to work, because I could not figure out how to compile this at first. But this website right over here does show you like all the techniques on what to do on installing wlvwm. So I just basically took these steps and modified it a bit to cater to what I'm doing. So let's jump into it. Now, I am going to be running this on Debian. So basically what you need to do is, let me go into the console mode. I'm going to go to start. And from here, I am actually going to do a fresh install. So I'm just going to jump right into here and do graphical install. We'll just go through these standard options: United States, American English. And you can actually do this whole thing not through a VM, but you could do it through Raspberry Pi if you wanted to. So you can actually make a modern day version of Mac System 7 or System 8 or System 9 to a Raspberry Pi on a small screen if you wanted to, which is ultimately my end goal for this. But I needed to test this on a virtual machine just to make sure it all works. So with that being said, I'm just going to do dev-mac like that. Continue. No domain name, configure the network, and I'll just pop in the password over here for the root. Username for the account, done. The password again, and then Eastern is fine. Go pop right in there, and I'm going to use the entire disk. Continue. Yes, 32 gigabytes. And no, I don't want to separate the partitions. Finish up. Continue. Do you want to change? Yes, add changes to disk. Still going to have one more question asking what repository you want to use. So you do have to select it from a list. So I'm just going to let this go for a second. The base install is going through. All right, here, I'm going to say no for extra scan media. Continue. Use network mirror. No. Continue with no on that. And then I don't want any desktop environments, so I'm going to uncheck all those. I do want SSH. Now, typically, I wouldn't install SSH into this, but I could actually increase the font size using SSH, so that's why I'm using SSH for this. Now, one thing I did miss was I was supposed to select the mirror. This way, I could choose from ftp.debian.org, but since I completely missed that and I hit no by accident, I'm going to have to manually put that into our repository so I could actually hit Debian and download stuff that I need. All right, here we go. The first time we're logging in, we are going to use root since we don't have a username yet. Well, we do, but it doesn't have super user access. Now, because I skipped that one step of doing the mirrors, I'm going to do nano into etc apt and then sources. And then over here, I'm going to get rid of the CD-ROM, Control K to delete the line or cut the line. And here I'm going to do deb http. Is it S? No, there's no S. Usually it's just normal. ftp debian.org/debian bookworm. I believe that's how it goes. Main contrib and non-free. I think that's it. Sudo apt update. Oops, apt update. There's no sudo. And there we go. We're hitting all the stuff. And non-free and non-free firmware, those two have to be together. So firmware update, apt update, and there we go. All right, so the first thing we need to do is install sudo apt install sudo, so our regular user could use sudo. And now we need to add our user to sudo. So what we're going to do is, let me clear the screen, or Control L. You could do add user done to the group sudo. And now if I exit this and log in as Don, sudo apt update should work. Yes, there you go. Now what I'm going to do is actually SSH into this so I could change the font size. That's not fun because it's on my OpenWRT network. Let me change that. So there you go. The new IP address is 246. So now I could just pull this, Yes, I am running elementary OS. And this is what started the rabbit hole. So I'm going to do SSH done at 192.168.105.246. Yes. And there we have it. And now I can increase the font size so you guys could see it a little bit better. And in my case, what I'm going to do now is just start working on it and getting everything built. So let me clear this screen. And the first thing we need to do is download a couple of things. So sudo apt install git and build essentials. So let's get that started. Those are the two main components usually when you need to build stuff. Now we're going to do a sudo apt install xutils dev, libx11 dev, libxext dev, and libxpm dev, and xinit and x11 apps like clocks or eyes or something like that. And that will get me started on what I need to compile wlvwm. All right, now that it's installed, let me clear the screen. And now I'm going to do git clone. Actually, you know what? Let me make a dir called downloads and then go into that and then git clone https github.com morgant/mlvwm. There we go. Now this is where I was actually confused about because I actually never used imake. And to do this, we have to use xmkmf-a to make all the subdirectories. Oh, it was a typo. So yeah, xmkmf-a. There you go. And let's see if there was any errors. No, there was just a warning, but that was it. And now we could do a make. And there we have it. We now have our little mlvwm. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sudo and copy this over to user local bin. And now with that being done, we technically could start it, but we still need the sample RC. So we're going to go into sample RC and cpml, this one, mlvwmrc, over to our home directory dot ml, all lowercase, wmwmrc, like that. We also need to copy two other files because this sample file will call for the Netscape and Xterm. So we're going to do cpmlvwmrc dash, and I'm going to put it in a block, and we're going to do Netscape as well as Xterm. So I'll just copy those two files over to the home directory. And now we could check out everything that's here. ls-lah, and you could see the RC file here and the Netscape and Xterm file. So what we could do now is start xmlvwm, and you could see it's gonna start. Oh, right, I'm SSH'd into it, so I can't do that. But in this case, I should be able to see it through the console over here. Start xmlvwm. And there we have it. Now, because we're missing a few things like pixmaps, the XPMs, it's going to take longer to load because it's trying to look for it. Otherwise, once this is over, it will start. Now, this is the base install of whatever you're looking for. But let's say if I have sudo apt install Firefox, yes, R installed. Now I could run Firefox, and there we have it. Firefox running in like an old school Mac environment, which is really cool. And it does work if I go into like YouTube, and it will bring up websites pretty quick, just like the environment does. Going into videos. And this is basically a Mac OS themed, or actually running like a old school System 7 or System 8 style Mac. So if you had SimCity 2000, this would just blend right in. All right, let's play around with the configuration file. So what I'm going to do now is exit this, and I am going to play around, and I'm going to close this. Play around with a few things. Now, because I'm still SSH into it with the bigger font, I'm going to use this instead. Now, the same area where we got our mlvwm, he also has another repository for all the RC configs. We're not really using this, but we're going to clone this anyway. So I'm just going to grab this, go into terminal, and I'm going to go into downloads, git clone, paste that in there, and I'm going to do mlvrc, and what we're looking for in here is actually the .mlv like that. So cd.mlvwm, and he should have pixmaps in here. And in this case, what I'm going to do is just cd into pixmaps, and I am going to grab the finder and also the Apple 8 and maybe balloon. What I'm going to do is make the home directory .local/share, and now I'm going to make a folder called pixmaps, and that's where we're going to store all our xpms. And I'm going to cp apple 8.xpm over to that same folder, and I'm going to cp finder into that same folder, and the balloon also. Other stuff that we could take maybe later, but for now we'll just use those. Now I'm going to start editing my file. So I'm going to nano into the mlvmrc file on our home directory, and in here you can start playing around with stuff. So the difference between system 7 and system 8 is the menu button is blue instead of being black and white. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get rid of this and change this over to home/don, or whatever your username is, .local/share/pixmaps. And now it's going to know that all our pixmaps is going to be from this location. To the icon, menu icon is going to be Apple 8, because that's what I wanted to see. And the balloon help, I'm going to change this over to balloon. You can see I'm just renaming files. Same over here. What I'm going to do is Apple 8 XPM, and we are actually at line 81 or 80 to change all this stuff. And these were the things that were here already. Now, mini dash display, I don't have anything for this right now, and that's what's taking so long to load. And you could actually find your own pixmaps for these, but for now I'm just going to leave it default. But I am going to change the actions to xterm instead of kterm, whatever they had before. X calculator is fine. Mule, I don't have mule for an editor. I actually don't even have an editor, but this is where you would change. So if you had something like Kate or something like that, this is where you would change it to Kate. Now I am going to add selection over here, and the thing I'm going to do is called applications, and icon is going to be finder.xpm, comma, and then the action that it's actually going to do is execute. And in this case, it's going to open up the file manager to a specific location, which is /share/user/share/applications, and then close that quote. And we have to type that again, execute the file manager. You can use whatever file manager you want, as lightweight as you want, but I decided to use that instead. And now I saved it, and I do have to install it. Sudo apt install, and there we go. All right, another thing I recommend installing is ImageMagick. So I'm going to do sudo apt install ImageMagick. Let's get that in there, because we can convert photos to XPMs if we wanted to, just by using convert command. All right, now that this is done, I'm going to head back into our Proxmox, and we're going to do a start x mlvwm. Again, we will fix that in a second right here. And you can see it's not finding those things that we were just talking about, which we can fix in a second. And there we have it. We have our little Apple icon that we just made, and then we also have an application that we do have a pixmap for. So now if I open up application, you can see it just brings up all these applications, and I can now double click on my Firefox and open that up as well. And being that we are actually in here, we're going to fix the xinit issue. So we're going to go into the website that I was just talking about earlier, which is this one right here, open source article, this one. So I'm going to do https opensource.com/article/19/12/linux-mlvwm-desktop. And from here, again, I deviated from what this is, but you can follow this and it could get you pretty close to what you are looking for. And I love building these desktops because the joy of what's to come when you're done with it. But yeah, Main thing what we're looking for in this website right now is actually this, which is the xinit rc. So I'm going to copy this, and you see you just need to make a file called xinit rc, and I am actually going to do nano home directory .xinit rc and paste that in here. Let me grab that one more time, copy, paste, exit out of this. And now if I do xstart, it will automatically just bring me into this Apple environment. Now we're still missing one more thing, which I've been looking up, which is a login manager. Now there's a few that you could use that you could just simply install, which is like what he suggests, like either KDM, GDM, or LightDM, whatever it is. But what I found to be interesting was this one right here called LY Login Manager. And here, Fairy Glade has this really cool UI. It's like this. It's literally a TUI display manager that you can actually just install, but you do have to compile it because it's not for Debian. So if you're using Arch Linux or something, it might be available already. We do need to install Feh, F-E-H, to get the desktop to work, so I don't have that installed. That's why it's not working, but I'm not worried about that right now. Next thing what I do want to play around, which is pretty cool, is getting the menus to come up on the top. Now there are a lot of references in the RC file. If you go into .mlvwm, go into apps, he actually have a bunch of apps with these pre-configured. So you basically need Firefox. So let's see if I can find it. He does have Firefox right over here. So let's go grab that. So I'm going to go into here, go into my file manager, go into my name, go into download, and the MLC, which we get before, and I'm going to do Control H to show hidden files. ML, this one right here, apps, and we are going to grab Firefox. So we're going to copy this, and we are going to paste it into our, actually we'll just paste it here for now. Okay, it's called Firefox. Now we're going to do cd to change back into our home directory. We're going to do a nano.mlvrc, wmvrc. We're going to scroll down here and we are going to add read Firefox, and that's the file name. We're going to close this out. And next time when we reboot this, it will actually reset that with the Firefox. But it doesn't work right out of the box because Firefox has changed so many times throughout the years. So we're going to have to nano into that Firefox file. And you see, these are the settings. You're going to have to figure it out because their README for this is like a mess. And it's not even in the same language that I understand it in. So it took me a while to understand what I need to do. But what we need to do in this is identify the Firefox browser. So in this case, you can see it says Firefox with the asterisk, which means it's going to look for anything that says Firefox and then anything after that, and it's going to apply this file over it. In our case, it's changed because Firefox is now at the end and it's got a capital F. So what we need to do is get rid of those two, change the first F to a capital, and put the asterisk in front, and now it's going to know to look for anything that says Firefox, anything before that. And I am going to close this, hit yes, and if I hit the desktop, I should have a special, and I'm going to do the restart, and it's going to restart MLVWM, and there we have it. Now if we hit Firefox, we have the file menu, bookmark, and all that stuff up on top. Now you could do this for any program that you have. Like this doesn't have it right now. It has file view, bookmark, whatever. If I wanted to make a file for my file manager and start adding those properties in there, this will also look like what we have in Firefox with the menus up on top. So it's pretty cool. There is a few customization coming from a 24-year-old window manager that somebody designed. Last but not least, what I want to show you is how to grab icon files for what we need. So basically the terminal, there's no icon in front of it, and I want to put an icon in front of this. So what we need to do is look for term PNG, I don't know. And I kind of like this one. So what I'm going to do is grab this file, save image as, and it's going to be a PNG, so we'll just save it in the downloads. I'm going to hit OK for this, and now I close this out. I don't want to run that much stuff. And then in my downloads, I should have a CD downloads. I should have a PNG of a 600 pixel terminal 2. So what I'm going to do is convert the 600 png to term.xpm. And now I have a new icon, which is term.xpm right over here. And what I'm going to do is it needs to be 16 by 16. So I'm going to convert dash resize 16x16 xpm to term dash 16 xpm. And now I have a pixmap at 16 by 16. So now I can CP this term 16.xpm over to home squiggly line dot local dot share pixmap. And now I call for this. So I'm going to cd back into home, nano into my wlvwmrc. And then in here, what I can do is look for that application area. And in terminal, you see the icon where it says mini display. I'm going to change this over to term 16 because that's the name of the file we named. And I'm going to exit that, reset the window manager. And now if I go into this, you can see my new icon that I just put in there, the terminal. And you could do this for all the other icons. Now, I know this video is getting a little bit longer than I wanted to, so I'm just going to leave it off at that. But this was a lot of fun building this desktop. There's a lot more you can do, like change the font size, change all this other stuff. And actually, if this was built on top of Raspberry Pi with an 8-inch screen, I think it would look pretty cool. And you get the modern applications like Firefox to run. So yeah, ultimately, I just thought this was a really cool video. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions about this, hit me up down in the comments below. And if you guys are new to this channel, consider subscribing and also hit that bell notification icon so you know when the next video is going to be out. Thanks for watching.